So in this section, I'm going to show you how to make money with scalping. Scalping is basically just locking in profit on much smaller price movements. Generally use it for intraday trading. And Bitcoin is one of my favorite markets to scalp, but I use it sparingly. I only scalp when there's a lot of volatility, and that's generally when the market is dumping because it tends to have multiple bounce plays on the way down. And it's important to use a low fees exchange that has high leverage. So again, my favorite exchange for this is BitMEX. It has fairly low fees and the leverage is up to 100x. Now I don't use that much leverage. Generally, I'll use up to about 10x just to manage risk. And if you're new to this, you really want to make sure that you practice with small amounts. So perhaps practice with a couple of dollars instead of using high leverage. The reason for this is because although there's a specific technique to scalping, it also takes experience and practice to become efficient at it, being able to read the markets on the fly because you have to be really quick on the trigger. And then the way I manage risk when I'm scalping is that I cut out as close to a break even as possible. So the instant we roll over and break intraday support on where my entry was, that's generally where I'll cut out and I'll probe and look for a new entry. So sometimes I'll probe the market a couple of times before I actually nail a bottom and then get a nice bounce play. So I'll show you a couple of examples on the chart. So when the market was dumping, from here, it went parabolic and then it started to dump. I actually scalped this with a lot of our students in the trading room. So I was doing intraday trading for several days. What I do is I actually look at the minute chart on the Chinese exchanges. So I'll look at whoever the market mover is. So that's generally OKCoin, one of the other Chinese exchanges. So I get down to smallest time frame as possible. And what that does is it actually gives me some lead time to see where the market's going. Sometimes I even have like 30 seconds to a minute of lead time watching the dump happen on the exchange. And my favorite indicator for using this is called a stochastic RSI. It's a momentum indicator that generally shows activity between buyers and sellers. So it shows buying pressure versus selling pressure. And so when it crosses under and I see a long wick on the minute chart, and then it's followed by a green candle, what I'll do is I'll long and I'll wait till it bounces up. Sometimes a trade can last me a couple of minutes. Sometimes I'll hold it for a couple of hours. But one thing I always make sure I'm doing is that when I'm in an intraday scalp, I always just make sure I'm close to my computer and so that I can close out live, right? So I won't set stops. I'll just kind of close out live in the market. So I'm going to show you another video, and in that next video it's going to be a live example of where I actually bought a dip at support for a bounce play and how I did it on the minute chart. But before we show you that video, I'm also going to show you how I scalp altcoins. Now, I don't scalp very often. I only scalp Bitcoin when it's dumping. So it's kind of like surfing. I do it when the markets are volatile, when the price is conducive to it, the conditions are conducive to it. Otherwise, I just stay out. I don't scalp a choppy market. If it's a bull trending market, you know what they say, it takes a stairs up, elevator down. Sometimes I'll take some breakout trades intraday, pivot to pivot. But for the most part, I like it when it dumps because the markets go all over the place. With altcoins, I don't scalp that much, but sometimes I will do a quick intraday scalp when there's some kind of major movement in the market. So this was a market called Stellar, and I was in the trading room with some of the students. There was this news event that broke out about them partnering up with a bank or Forex market. And so what I ended up doing, I caught it really early. I think it was like within half an hour of this news event. So I bought in as it was ramping up, and then it spiked up, and then I took profit. And I did this a couple of times over. There was also some nice arbitrage between Kraken and Poloniex at the time. So I did this a few times, but I don't do it often because these markets are very illiquid, right? So the illiquidity makes them volatile, but you could also get trapped in slippage. So with this market, because it was a liquid, I didn't think that it was going to trend that high. So I just kind of locked in profit immediately. And it was, it was a quick trade. Didn't quite nail the bottom and top, but I think I got about 50% out of that trade. And then that was it. Once you lock in a couple of good scalps on a particular altcoin market, it's best to just kind of walk away from it, right? Because it doesn't tend to have enough volume and momentum like Bitcoin, for example, with its volatility, and because it's got volume and momentum, it's a lot easier to trade. But for the most part with altcoins, I just swing trade them, and I'll be patient. I'll buy low, I'll wait till they spike up, and usually I have the orders stacked up on the books and then make money that way. So this is the video on scalping, and in the next video you're going to see a live example. Cheers.